Welcome to Discovering. I'm in the Keweenaw with Lake Shark Lures. We'll take a look at how they paint their lures.
This is a trolling spoons that we make. Trolling spoons are kind of our bread and butter.
And how they catch fish with them. Then Kristen was on Gogebic for a look at this year's spring walleye survey. Stick around, it's Monday night and time for Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill. The eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Fishing has been a bit slow, but the fishing is only part of it. The scenery of the Keweenaw Peninsula in the background, the crystal clear waters of Lake Superior, and hardly a boat to be seen anywhere. Not at all a bad place to spend an afternoon and an evening. And if you make lures, it's a great place to put your product to the test.
Right now it's pretty rough, so we're only running 6 rods. We've got 2 downrigger rods out, 2 dipsy rods, and then 2 lead core rods out. We got a 3 and a 5 color out. Running our downriggers down towards the bottom, looking to pick up some lake trout. And then we were out here fishing yesterday, and we did pick up a couple salmon. So we're hoping as the night continues, the salmon start working their way back in, and hopefully it gets a little bit calmer. We are running meat rigs down on the dipsy divers right now, and then we just painted up some custom 5.5-inch Dodgers that we're running out on the lead core right now. They did pretty good last night, bringing us into some cohos up on our lead core lines up high. So we're hoping those with a spoon that matches or similar to that works out well again tonight. So setup that most people run on their dipsy divers, it's called a no fish nick setup. We're going to be putting the dipsy diver out as usual. I'm actually going to be running this on my wire diver here. And it actually is going to clip on, and then you're going to be able to take it on and off just like a board. We'll see today with the wind and the weather if we can get it out without any tangles. I'm hoping we can. Make sure we keep that boat control. So as you can see here, we've got about a 50-60 foot leader of mono line. It's going to be coming out. This is actually 40-pound fluorocarbon. And then we've got it tied to a 30-pound piece of mono. And this is what it's tied to. This is a 30-pound piece and a little swivel and then a loop. So that way we could connect that to it. And that way we get to run a very long leader and we don't have to run slide divers. And walk it back. We're gonna clear that downrigger. Go in, let it start pulling out, and there you go. Now you've got a dipsy with a long leader run to it. Again, I can't take the credit for it. It's called the No Fish Nick setup on YouTube. You can look it up and they work very, very well. put on with one of our custom Dodgers that we just made up the other day.
Justin and Holly Martinchek are owners of Lake Shark Lures in Hancock. Justin is a veteran of the U.S. Air Force and now a forester. Holly is a flight nurse, and they both love to fish. And they've turned their love of fishing into a business. Before we look at catching fish, we'll take a look at the lures.
Well, this is 4 of the sizes of trolling spoons that we make. Trolling spoons are kind of our bread and butter. We do offer different spoons, but this is our big piece that we work on a lot. So these are 4 different sizes. So I'm just going to run through and kind of just paint a couple of them for you today. So first, before it looks like this, we have to sand them down, then clean it, put the sticker on, put our split rings on, and then we can get to the painting part. It's really important for us to make sure that they're durable, so we make sure to scuff them up so the paint sticks. We have a top secret primer recipe that we use to make sure the paint sticks too. And then after the whole process, we'll go ahead and put a good clear coat on it too. We want them to last for people. I'm gonna do a lure today called Hog Wild. It's got some UV and glow elements, so it's one that we really like to use a lot. In order to make the colors pop, I'm gonna put a white base coat down first. And we can do up to 15 at a time. Justin set up this system so I can do quite a few, and it goes a lot faster. I've just got a few set up today, but we'll normally line this all up. And for this one, since it has some exposed metal on there, some exposed steel, we're gonna use that primer. This lure has kind of a gold effect, so to get that, I just do a really light coat of orange over the silver to make it look more gold.
Buddy and I were having a couple beers in the garage one night and talking about how we could get into the fishing business in general, and lo and behold, Facebook actually had a marketplace ad from down in Holland, Michigan, and at the time it was called Big Lake Lures, and it was the right time for my wife and I, so we just thought, well, let's give it a try. So we came back up with a snowmobile trailer full of lure making stuff. We kind of hemmed and hawed and came up with Lake Shark Lures. And then my wife, Holly, she came up with the design and the logo, and it's been quite the experience and a lot of fun so far.
The scale pattern is a sticker that we get to put on them as well. There's so many different types of tapes we have. There's a company out of Coloma, Michigan. We try to get a lot of our stuff from Michigan when we can, and they have an awesome, huge selection of different tapes for lures, and that's one of them that we get from them. So that's that. At this point, we put hooks on, and then we'd do the clear coat, and then get them packaged, and they're ready to go, ready to catch fish. So we, along with trolling spoons, we started doing casting spoons this year, and also some jigs too. So these are some of the blade baits that we started doing. We have 2 different sizes, 1/2 ounce and 3/4 ounce. These are really fun to use. Justin caught a lot of walleye on these. So we've got the blade baits. We also do 3 different types of casting spoons. There's a couple of these. These are got some weight to them. We've got this type as well, and then we have these ones. So just a few different patterns that we've made. We're hoping to keep expanding on products. We started trialing out some Dodgers this week, which were really fun. We caught a nice coho with a new Dodger last night. So we want to keep expanding on products and get into more stores and make them available to people year round. Well, this is how we do our blister packs. Put the blister in, load your spoon, and then we get our card in place. And that seals it in. It's always a little steamy at first, but that'll go away.
Out here with my wife Holly and on our new boat called the Wicked. We decided that next year we're gonna give some chartering part-time a go and see how that goes. I think we've got the right boat and the right combination. This is a brand new 2022 Sea Runner. We've got it fully equipped, decked out, lots of new technology, 12-inch screen here for the Humminbird Solex. We've got a 9-inch Garmin here and then another one hooked up to Panoptics in the back. We're controlling all of our autopilot and stuff comes right off our trolling motor in the front. We decided to go with Mark Heltman from Superior Fishing Products. He does a phenomenal job. He's also done a number of other kind of oddball things on different boats we've had. Some shields for the transducers so it doesn't spray water in. These, in my opinion, are some of the best out there. Superior Fishing Products, right in Houghton, Michigan.
Good?
We're good.
Yeah. Nice little Laker. That's on the board.
On the one you guys painted up this morning. Let's get this guy back. The little lake trout.
So once in a while we'll see a fish following the lure. We can see it on the Panoptics and they just aren't biting it. So I'll release the downrigger and just hold it there for a minute. 9 times out of 10 they'll bite it and we'll just reel them up.
Go. Big one, but show 'em the right here, there's fish right there.
Yeah, I just put him back. Little guy.
Get him back. Well, another one on the new setup.
Yeah, he's a keeper because he had another fish in there.
Oh yeah, look at that.
Wow.
Smelt.
A little breading on that?
Back in June, I went out with the DNR during their spring walleye survey on Lake Gogebic. I filmed them on day 1 of pulling nets. Recently, I caught up with Michigan DNR Lake Superior Basin Coordinator Patrick Hanchin via Zoom to find out the results of the survey. I guess first start off, because I was there the first day that you were doing that, but I mean, how did that week go, or that however long it took you to do those surveys?
The spring survey, I will say, was challenging. We got a good population estimate for walleyes, but it was challenging. We had several windy days. One day we had 50-mile-an-hour winds were blown off. The other problem with the wind is it flips nets. It pushes debris into your nets, so we had a lot of issue with that. And then, as you know from being out there, we mark fish over a period of a week or so, and then we do a recapture event. And we had a storm come through during the electric fishing survey. We got about halfway around the lake, so we had to get off, with the metal poles and the metal boats in the middle of the lake. But we still got enough for a good survey. We marked over 14,000 individual adult walleyes, and then in that recapture event, we handled over 2,200, and we're very pleased with that. what level of precision that gets us. And it came out as about 40,802 adult walleyes. In the past, we've done these in the past. They've ranged from 30,000 to 100,000 walleyes. The 100,000 one was using a quite different method than all the others. So it's a little bit questionable whether the population has ever been that high. But I generally think that the population ranges between 30 and 60,000 fish. So 40,000, a little bit on the low end, but no cause for concern. We were pleased with what we saw in terms of size structure. A lot of 11 to 13 inch fish that were on the spawning grounds, and that should recruit over the next year or two to legal size. So anglers should start seeing those. One of the things we're kind of wondering about is, walleye have optimum conditions in terms of water clarity and temperature. They've got kind of the niche that they prefer. And the lake has been getting a little clearer and perhaps a little warmer, which could make fishing for walleye different. And this has been documented in other lakes in Minnesota and northern Wisconsin where the walleyes are inhabiting is changing. And so to some degree, anglers may, we haven't documented that in Gogebic, but they may have to change some of their tactics. But if a lake gets clearer, it just changes where they are and how they feed and when they feed. So it's not, I'm not saying everybody should have to change every way they're fishing, but it's something to consider.
Current walleye regulations on Lake Gogebic are a 15-inch minimum size limit and the maximum daily possession limit of 5 fish. I asked Patrick if they feel this needs to be changed.
There's no need to change anything at this time. We can talk about it because there's more than one way to do things. There's not one single regulation that fits all, but you got to talk to the anglers and figure out what they're interested in and what they want, because if you get into more complex regulations, some people are going to like them, some are going to hate them.
Over the summer, the DNR has also done additional surveys on Lake Gogebic.
We're not targeting perch in the spring, but they come shallow and they're in fact spawning on our nets sometimes. We were pleased with the number of perch we saw, more than in the past. We then followed up with a summer, what's called a status and trend survey. So as the water warms, a different fish comes shallow. And that survey is also comprehensive in that we use gill nets, fyke nets, trap nets, seines to get at minnows and that, and electrofishing. So it's kind of taking the whole picture of the lake. And we also saw more perch than we've seen in the past in that survey, in the gill net portion. So we were pleased with that. I would say there was slightly more pumpkin seed bluegills than in the past. And that may be indicative of, warming climate and Gogebic warming a bit. But all in all, when I talk with the biologists about the fish community, it looks like it's in much better balance than it has been. Some people look at the lower walleye numbers and think that's terrible, but in the past, there's probably been too many predators in this lake. So I would say it's better balanced than it has been in the past.
Lake Gogebic is famous for walleye and jumbo perch. I asked Patrick if it's better to have more of these species or an overall healthy balance of many species.
When you get into targeting a single fish and enjoy that, that's what you want. But, we work for all the anglers and really there's an adequate number of walleyes in the lake. As you know, they're totally supported by natural reproduction, which is what you always want. We do not want to stock a lake if we don't have to. A lake this size, too, would take an enormous amount of fish to stock. The other thing about stocking is Lake Gogebic, based on genetic evaluations, has a unique strain. It's different than any other strain in the state. And there's some historic evidence that they came from Saginaw Bay before Saginaw Bay declined. And there's actual evidence of them being put on trains and hatched from commercial fishermen in Saginaw Bay. So from that respect, you wouldn't want to put like a bait and ox strain walleye in that lake. Just really overall thinking about the predator-prey ratio and having a good balance. The lake at this time, doesn't need any more walleyes. I think we were pleased. We kind of wondered with all the negative reports we were getting whether something really terrible had happened, but overall very, very pleased with the number of walleyes we saw and the overall balance of that fish community.
Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next week right here on Upper Michigan's very own Discovering.